So anyway, while we're waiting, my name is Kristian McManus. I've been doing accessibility at UC San Francisco for the last 18 months, and it's been a real adventure. That's my only job. I coordinate, I eat it for breakfast. So ask me anything. So I just want to start. This is my computer. This image, my friend Herman, who's joining us, he's going to take some pictures today, took this picture for me. We were at an event at Google headquarters. And this woman is deafblind. This is her Braille reader. She's a presenter. She's was on one of Obama's staff. She's an amazing person. And she was talking at Google to a group of filmmakers. And she said, enough stories about us. I want you to do the stories about people doing the work. And that's who we are in this room. We're the people doing the work. So we matter, okay? So let me find my slide deck. How many of you are on the accessibility Slack channel? Okay, you may know my cat. I only have the one. My cat. Oh, which Slack channel? There's more than one accessibility Slack channel? Oh, I don't know. The one I'm on is just the.
It's the WCAG Slack, right?
Yeah. Okay. So I titled this "We Can Do It." I don't know. I was just feeling really ambitious. So this is me. So Kristian McManus, University of California, San Francisco. Digital accessibility technician. I do awareness, testing, training, and support. I'm a real person. You can email me. And this is the website. And a lot of the stuff I'm going to be talking about is also featured on that website. So digitalaccess.ucsf.edu and a phone number. I'm hardly ever at my desk, but feel free to call me. And this is my cat, Earl. And I got him when he was a kitten, when I first started this job. And he's been through every phase of this. So he's going to help us today, because he does a good job. So training is in 2 sessions. It's a little weird. I'm going to try to cover all the high points and reiterate them in the second session. So if people come in, they don't miss the but I'm going to break up the tools kind of into different groups, because we're not going to cover all the tools in one session. So if you can stay, you get more time with me, ask more questions, and more exposure to more tools. But if you can't, I totally understand. So that's the 2 sessions. So mostly the what, why, and wherefore, I'm going to go over in the beginning. I'm going to really bore you with WCAG. And then in session 2, I'm going to cover WCAG again, because it's really, really important. Come on in. I see. Okay. So I'm going to go through these kind of fast, because I'm assuming you kind of know what accessibility is. So anyway, it's up there. Accessibility refers to the inclusion, and this is for this context. Because accessibility could make physical accessibility, ramps, things like that. So we're talking about digital, and I'll say websites a lot, but just remember, all this stuff applies to anything that can be coded. So emails, PDFs, apps, all these things apply to that. But I just say websites because it's easier than saying blah, 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 blah. Okay. So when sites are correctly designed, developed, and edited, all users have equal access to the information and functionality. So just keep those things in mind. Access to the information and functionality, all users. So, and why? Because it's policy. And here's I'm not going to read that to you. It's policy. Take my word for it. It is also U.S. law and the right thing to do. And I'm going to assume you guys all know that, and I'm not going to go over that in detail. But on the teeny URL, which we're going to get to, there are a lot of links that are some of the better explanations of those things. So if you want to use those URLs, that'll be really helpful. Or when you're trying to talk to other people, share those. Okay. So those of you who got your laptops, we're going to get our hands dirty. And if you are in sight of somebody's laptop, just peer over their shoulder. So, wish me luck on this. Desktop 2. So if you want to the easy way to get there, if you go to my website, digitalaccess.ucsf.edu, once you're there, are you there?
Yeah.
Go to test your site. It's a big tab at the top.
Can you repeat the URL one more time?
Sure. digitalaccess.ucsf.edu. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to exit this so I can.
Yeah, put it in the Slack. Can I just put it in the accessibility Slack?
Thank you. You know, I'm going to advance a few slides so we could get to the. Sorry, I'm on the wrong window. I'm not seeing what you're seeing, which is often the case. Oh, how did I get to desktop 3? Sorry, folks. I don't know how I got to desktop 3. Anybody know how I get back to desktop 1? Where'd you go?
Do you want it to appear so that you're seeing?
I have multiple desktops, and I want to get desktop.
But you want to be able to like navigate here as you would.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not
Okay,
sure how to use that.
so we're going to go to Code Sniffer, and I'm just going to try to, it'll be a little awkward, but I'm going to stick on one screen, okay, so. There's digital access, everything loaded. Okay, so if you go to test your site, a bunch of this stuff is in here. Okay, if you go to that, it'll open up, hopefully. If we could leave the door open, it's going to get warm with this many people in it. I'll just try to talk loudly over the elevator. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. That's how you get there. Did you see I typed on the link instead of the image? I don't know why the image is not working, but there's a link that says, did everybody get there? Okay. Now this is the hard part, so all pay attention. What you do is you grab this ribbon and you drag it up to your bookmark bar and let go. Can you do that? Okay. Do it again for you. Grab that ribbon, drag it up to your bookmark bar. I'm not going to do it because it's already loaded, and let go. Okay? Now, those of you who have been in accessibility are going to think this is really childish, but then you go to a real website, and it's a bookmark. It's in your thing. You click on it. So go to any website. You don't have to use my website. Go to any website. And if you don't have a laptop in front of you, look at somebody else's.
I didn't get the ribbon.
Okay. This link isn't working, so use that link.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. And then,
There we go.
Okay. Yeah. And then any website, your website, anybody else's website. Okay, so this is what everybody's seeing on their laptops. You get a box like this, overlaid over your website. It's telling you error, warnings, notices, and you have some controls to which settings you want. And then the reports are going to tell you stuff like this. It's going to give you a report. It's going to tell you errors. Sometimes it's going to point to them on your website.
Once you're on the website, what do you need to do to make it happen? Do you click on the...
Just click on the bookmark lid. Yeah. No worries. It's so simple, it's hard to do.
It's too easy. It can't be that easy.
And yours? Yeah, okay, you're good. Oh, honey, don't do yours. No. I've done yours recently. It's, okay. Don't feel, okay, I know, yeah. So this is what I want you to see. This is a really easy tool. It's got a lot of limitations, but it's really easy. So it's one of those things, if you're trying to explain something to someone else quickly, sometimes this is a really good tool to just pop up and say. So what I want you to get from this is these numbers. These, like, it says 1.3.1, info and relationship success criteria. Okay, all these tools are going to point to these numbers, and these numbers are WCAG. And so WCAG, if any of you can get online and you want to start playing with any of these other tools, you can start playing with these tools now. And here's the teeny URL that I was talking about. So, because some people are going to be more advanced and you're going to want to go to start putting in extensions, browser extensions and things like that. So if you go to the teeny URL, all those tools that, there are a lot more, but there's a good amount of tools for you guys to play with. So go to whatever tool you want to start playing with, and then when we're on that section, we can talk about it more. So there's all kinds of tools. We're going to go over a thing to help you pick out a tool, test pages, browser extension, bookmarklets, and right now we're on a bookmarklet. So there's a couple different bookmarklets that are that easy that you just put them in your browser and then you can quickly use them. And then online tools that'll do like bigger things. And so this is Earl. Isn't he adorable? So just want you to get that you have a lot of choices and tools to suit your style, and most of them are free, but they're all going to be based on WCAG. So I just want you to start playing with the tools while I talk about WCAG, because if you already know, it's really boring. So it scares Earl. That's why. So WCAG 2.0 AA and why we use it. Okay, Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. That's what WCAG is, Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. They're produced by the World Wide Web's Consortium. So they're international. International, we all agree that these are the rules. And they are the standard adopted, almost everything points to these rules. And they are used to evaluate and guide web accessibility. 2.0 is the current version, and AA is the level we follow. Okay? Okay, okay. All right. So, WCAG, I don't even want to show you how big WCAG is because it's scary. But it breaks down. So there's really 4 principles, 4. So 4 principles. I'm looking for my scary sheet. Okay, this is a big scary guy. Oh, don't bring in too many. Okay, so I keep this on my desk, and this is a big list, and you don't have to print it out because I'm going to show you a tool that'll break it down for you. But this is the big scary list. But there's 4 principles. So this first number is going to tell you what principle you're dealing with. There's only 4 principles: perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. So the first number is what principle you're dealing with. The second number is what rule you're dealing with. So for level A, there's 12 rules. When you get to level AA, it adds a few more rules. When you get to level AAA, it adds a few more rules. So basically, there are 12 rules, like kind of 12 basic things to keep in mind. Not too much, right? Guidelines. So then this third number is the success criteria, because they have to break it down. Because all these tools, all the automated tools and all the rules, they want to break it down into a yes-no question. So does it do this? So you can answer yes or no. So then there's a few more for each rule, the success criteria. And it, depending on the context it is in, depends on which success criteria you need to meet. Okay? So, and then there are 79 tests. So yes, they break it down to yes-no questions. So it can be something we agree on. Yes, it's this, and yes, it's, because this is what shows up in a court of law. So it needs to be, did they do this or that? And also it needs to be testable. So a computer needs to be able to ask the question, does it meet this or that? And sometimes it needs a human being to intervene and say, yes, this is true or not true. And that's when it says warnings. Warning, check this, because I can't tell. So we're going to just look at one rule right now. WCAG 2.0 A, we're just going to look at A, 2.1.2. We're going to look at that rule right now. Okay, so broken down that rule into people speak. The first letter, it's operable, and then it goes into keyboard access with no keyboard traps, passes by answering yes to question number 54, which the question is there a way to get in and out of every component on the page, i.e. widget or control, using only the keyboard? Yes or no? You don't know the circumstances, so you can't answer it. Yes, so that's what WCAG is. Does that make any sense? Okay, so when you see these numbers, the different things mean different parts, like perceivable, operable, understandable, the question, it's the guideline it's addressing, and then a more specific, and then maybe get into like success criteria. So when you see this, see, it talks about success criteria, and also the W3C will have suggested techniques for corrections. So if you understand all that, that gives you a way to understand the testing, because that's what it's testing for, and then a way to understand get guidance for how you would fix it. But it all happens in context, in a specific place, on your website, on your email, all these things. For this, is this true? That make sense? You're all so quiet. I think I've lost you. Anybody have any of my pros in the room have anything to add to that? Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify, can you go back to the example slide? Oh, wait, that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So 2.0 is the principal.
2.0 is the number you're going to see. Like when it says it says warning 2.1.0, and then the tools they usually tell you what that is.
Yeah,
But
so
just like sometimes we just see the number, okay?
Okay, but that number represents the principal. The letters represent the rule, and then the 2.1.2 is the success criteria.
This is the principal. Which principal? So it's POUR, so this is an operable. We're talking about operable, so that's a principal. This is the guide, considered the guide, and the guide will say something about keyboard accessible with no keyboard traps. Okay, so that's the guide is represented by this phrase right here. And then point 2 is the yes/no question it has to answer to pass. And then sometimes there's like more of these, okay? So I'll pass this around, but this is the long drawn out version. Like it goes into, it's the principle and here's the thing, and then it breaks it down more and breaks it down more. So, but if you don't have to have that on your desk, it's better. There are better tools to look this stuff up, okay? So just bear that in mind, and as we go along, it'll hopefully make more sense. And in this context, just ask me questions when we get there, like, does this mean that, I know you kind of have it in your heads, but using it in a tool is going to help. Okay, so there are basically 2 types of testing, automatic and manual. So I think of them as auto and man, that's just me. So automatic is standardized and it's easy to repeat. Like you can run a test, you use your tool, you can do some work, you can run it again. So the autos saves you a lot of time and it can find a lot of stuff. And it covers, depending on your website, roughly 20 to 30% of what might be there. But some of that might be, have a person check this. Does this alt tag represent the image? Might be what it comes down to. So manual covers all those things that you just sort of have to either hands-on or use your brain and interject. And some of the tools will allow you to put in notes on what you found. Some don't. Probably none of the ones I'm going to show you today because they don't really record. But so what you want to do is make a list. Think about what you can skim off with the manual tools. Get those figured out. and know what you're going for, and then kind of dive into do the automatic, kind of get the broad view, and then start diving into the manual, because the automatic will kind of give you a guideline to what manual things you want to do. But also, we will cover a section on just things to look out for manual testing, and I got another sheet for that. So you want to use them together, reiteratively, and depending on what stage and what you're trying to do, you'll use different tools. So, were you able to get to the teeny URL? Those of you on laptops? Okay. All the links, go ahead and run amok. So, other thing to keep in mind about manual testing, it's getting warm in here, is that because the tools are really easy, other people will use them. Other people are using them. Other people can look at your site at any time and test it. They don't need any special access or code. If they can see your site, they can test it. Okay, just keep that in mind. So, if other people can see and test your site, it's really good to know yourself, right? So you want to know what everybody else knows about you. So that's another good reason to do this and do this often, okay? Okay. Oh, more about automated testing. Yeah, Earl's adorable. Easy to find and report errors or warnings, locates errors, and gives guidance, aids, manual checks. Let's cover this. Has warning. A lot of these little free tools, depending on what they are, and I'll point out the ones that are better than others, will have false positives. So you have to use your own brain. It's like, okay, it's telling me this, but that's not the case in here. And so it may have some false positives. So that's kind of annoying. But some tools are better at not giving you false positives than others. And believe me, the tools are getting better every day. A lot of people are working on this. So, and then manual testing, what cannot be, and Earl, he's so good. He helps me with this. He like, he doesn't mouse, which is, you would think a cat would mouse, but no. And so he does the keyboard testing for me. He just, the two paws. So, when I get a little more into manual testing, we'll go over this stuff in more depth. But, things like accuracy of alt text and consistency. Is it confusing, busy, or inconsistent? Accurate captions, visual hierarchy, zooms, on and on and on. So remember, there's 12 rules. So you take like what you're testing, compare it to the list of what you need. It's like, oh, I don't have any videos on my site. I don't have to look at anything about videos. I don't have any flashing content. I check that off. So you like reduce down your checklist, but it's based on what you do. So as you're doing this over and over again, you'll develop your little cheat sheet of checklists. So, my favorite. Okay. So when you're this is an example of manually checking a video. So here we're going to review this. So WCAG 2.0 A 1, 2, 2. So 1, perceivable. 2, time-based media. 2, captions. And this says, does the captioning accurately describe pre-recorded video, dialogue, and important sounds? Do you think that guy said that? Do you think somebody checked their work? Didn't happen to anybody we know. But, okay, so that's an example of a manual check. Okay, that's a time-consuming one, checking the video. So that might be one of those things. You have to, the person who created the thing knows best about it. So in some of these things, like alt text and stuff, it's best to keep that chore as close to the creator as possible. So that's an example of a WCAG standard and a manual check. Okay, I was going to let you all play with the tools and ask questions now.
So the video captioning, to me, a lot of it looks like it's done automatically by machines, and that's why the wording makes no sense a lot of times. Is that generally the
Yes, blame the
case?
machines. Blame the machine. No. It's a combination. It is yes, there are machines that are transcribing, but they can only do as well as the material they're given. So if you have a speaker with a heavy accent, if you have bad audio equipment, all those things are going to affect the translator's ability to do that. as I mentioned, I spent time at Google headquarters. The engineer in charge of Google owns YouTube. So when I sometimes use them interchangeably, but Google owns YouTube. YouTube, they have a really great engineer in charge of doing the captioning, and they have a huge team, and it gets better every day, I swear. He's deaf. He's totally dedicated to the project. About half his team is deaf, and they are working really well. So if you're judging, and I'm going to say YouTube because there are other things, but YouTube's pretty good. If you upload your video to YouTube, it will, actually, unless you tell it not to, it will automatically transcribe. There's a little thing that's, you say translation and stuff. And it does a really good job. And there's an editor in YouTube that's very easy. It puts, like 2 lines at a time right in front of you, and you can type and correct. And it's really not that hard. So for a 15-minute video, you shouldn't spend, I'm really, really slow, and I spent about an hour correcting a 15-minute video. But if you're going to make a video, make it for everybody. And the captioning really helps in a lot of ways. So yeah, a video is one of the bigger things, but it's getting better. But if you do all those things, if you coach your instructors, give them, a cheat sheet on how to have good audio hygiene, repeat questions, use your mic. Use my mic somewhere. Yeah, use your mic, and there's just several things you could do. But if everybody does their part, keep your scripts. If anybody's using a script, super helpful to keep your script. On the digital access, there's a whole page on video, covers like mics, stuff in general. Yeah, so all those things contribute. Yes?
If we don't want to publish our videos to YouTube, is there another software that you recommend us using to be able to assist in the transcribing of videos?
Okay, and you work with EdTech?
Yes. and I-
Okay, yeah, that's a special problem because your things are really long.
Right.
Yeah, so with the longer videos, yes, you really want to work with your whoever's doing your whole system and see if that component is part of it. Sometimes now you have to pull the video out, run it through a service, and then pull it back. But hopefully, and I've seen these tools coming.
No, we have a system-wide contract with a captioning provider.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
3Play Media.
3Play Media,
It's no one throw anything at me. It's $2.50 a minute, please. No, sorry.
It's $1.90 to $2.20, I think, and Rev.com is $1 and requires no contract.
Yeah, Rev is cheaper, and Rev will be if you have a good working relationship. They will tell you this isn't up to snuff. Go use the more expensive one. Right. So yeah, so that's been my experience, and we're working on getting better contracts. But the more people who commit to captioning the videos, the price will go down for everybody. It's just that the volume's not there for them to bring the price down, and it's changing rapidly. Yeah.
Our lecture capture system did about 191,000 minutes last year for classroom recordings.
Your fingers must be really tired.
Well, assuming that we had captured all of it, yes.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
but how do you caption? I mean, you just said 15 minutes took you 1 hour.
No, that's just me. I'm really slow.
Okay, but 191,000 minutes of class recordings is a lot. And when you start dealing with enterprise lecture capture, such as Berkeley, such as other campuses, then you have to find a more scalable solution that is quick, robust, thorough, automated, affordable.
Yes.
Yes.
And the instructors need to have a system that supports them in, the classrooms, the good mics, the all kinds of things. And then another thing is the timing. If, sometimes it's policy, like the first 10 minutes is just going to be basic, and you chop that off, and the last, you chop that off, and then you're just captioning a smaller part. There's all kinds of things you can do to bring that. The classroom capture is a whole big thing, and it has very special needs, and I really advocate that those tools be built into the system, because that goes my whole philosophy of keeping it closest to the creator who knew exactly what it was supposed to be. And with classrooms, the upside is you have 30 witnesses who all heard and said, and they're students and they're trying to remember this stuff. So there is the possibility of crowdsourcing. In YouTube, you can throw up a video, open it up to crowdsourcing, tell people, hey, for extra credit, go in and start cleaning up the captions. That's one, that's a low-tech, high-tech solution? I don't know. But so, yes, it is a problem. Some things are going to be bigger, but we will get there. The technology is getting better. Our systems are getting better. We just have to keep moving towards that and pushing towards good equipment. And, maybe lectures don't need to be that long, or maybe they need to be broken into sections or something. So.
Earlier you said try and keep captioning close to the source, essentially suggesting that maybe the instructor or a representative could be more involved in captioning. And one of the things that we're coming closer to is exploring the possibility of captioning all of the minutes of all lectures using an automated system, and then closed captioning those. We're at around, depending on accent, good microphone, but it could be between 80 and 90% accuracy. At that point, turning it back over to the instructor or a TA becomes a programming issue, an authorization issue, where you can simply say this class recording is now available to these people who can edit the SRT file and then reassociate it with the recording. So it's, when you think about it in terms of an IT issue that you can solve through just connecting the right people with the right resources in the most simplistic way, then it's less daunting to think about the massive quantities that have to be captioned, edited, and distributed.
Yes. So this is a testing class, so we're going to deal with phase 1 testing things, and that's definitely an issue. Yeah.
What was the name of the tool that you said UC has a system-wide contract with?
It's
3Play Media.
3Play Media,
Right.
and each UC has a specific account. So I'm not sure at yours how it's broken down, but in ours it's through me, and so it's on the website. But I would ask around. But there is a specific link. So whatever gives you web support should have information about that. And sometimes it's through the library, sometimes it's through student services. It depends on your school. They're all different.
If you Google 3Play Media space UC, you'll find the information. It's basically create an account and then email our representative to associate your account with UC contracts and pricing.
Yeah. Each school was given a specific link and a portal for them that is supposed to work. But we got it. Berkeley did a lot of the footwork on, cleaning up the contract and everything. It was asking a lot of weird questions, But it's getting better. So as we use the power of the UC system, we can work on these things. But they're not perfect now. But just keep them in mind. Keep thinking about them, and put it in your process that this is how we would test for it. So at least test, know the scope of the problem. Okay? Any people? I'm just letting you guys play and ask questions right now. And look at my cat. He's adorable.
I guess I have a question. It's not enough to have a link to a transcript of the contents of the video. It should be word for word.
It is enough to have a link to the transcript. It's better than nothing. But you need to, so in the case that you are not meeting the criteria, sometimes the alternate is to say, I don't meet the criteria. So if your video is not captioned before they go to the video, and I'm not sure exactly how you do this, but you warn them this is an uncaptioned video. And on my website, under videos, there's a video that's not captioned. The woman is speaking in it, but it's not captioned because the video is about sound quality. She's saying the same thing twice and with different mics. So the video is completely about sound quality. There's really nothing to to caption. You know, the point of the video isn't about what she's saying, it's a sound quality. So it's an uncaptioned video, but it's labeled, this is an uncaptioned video because it's only about sound quality. And so a person who is deaf or in the library and doesn't have their sound turned on, they're going to know, oh, I'm not going to watch this now because it has no captions. So that's the thing, is if it has no captions, and people are really reluctant to do that because then everybody can see I don't have captions without really looking. But anyway, that's the technicality. If there's a reason, and sometimes you just want to make sure people get all the information. And that's kind of a lower way to do it, but if it's better than nothing. And then it does give you the search engine stuff. Yeah.
And if you have a transcript, it's very easy to automatically caption it. Because, for example, in YouTube, if you upload the transcript, it will match it with its automated captions, and it will time match it, and it is pretty magic.
It's auto-magical.
Is YouTube enough?
Is YouTube enough for
It
what?
sounds like its accessibility tools are getting very fast. But, so, you know, we have our YouTube channel, there's still some debate over its tracking and stuff, so. Are people uploading things to YouTube to take advantage of its tools and then
I do.
taking it away and not posting it there?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You could upload to YouTube,
Yeah.
use their tools, and then just pull it back again,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, you can have a private channel. It probably costs money, I think, but you know, if I have a private channel, have an unlisted video, upload your transcript in your video, let YouTube do the time coding, and then you have the SRT.
Yeah.
A number of our groups do the same thing. A number of our groups, Strategic Communications, Media Services, their captioning solution is YouTube to upload it, no matter where they host it. They throw it on YouTube,
Yeah.
they get it captioned, they edit the captions, they download the SRT file, and they move the whole thing somewhere else.
So yeah, if that's kind of in your job scope and you can dive into that, that's great. If not, ask the people who do your videos and captioning the best way to do that. So it's not a great system right now, but if we're all aware of it and working towards our goal, we'll get there.
About 3Play Media, I uploaded the Master Services Agreement covering all UC campuses to the Slack.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so okay, I'll keep talking about WCAG because it's so much fun. So this is WCAG, and this is a really dry, love that, layers of guidance. So it's really hard. So this is the link I gave you. That's a little more user-friendly. How to meet WCAG 2.0 standards. So for each of these big number thingies, it will give you more information. So you can just, it goes deep. There's a lot of information for each of these things. So when you get to that number and you're saying, oh, I don't know enough about this, and also all these tools are pulling from this source. This is where they're going for this guideline 3. And this tool lets you customize it to what you want to look at. So, you can delete some of these things and say which levels. And level 2, it's really weird. Level A, to be AA, you're also A. So I don't know why, like when you take away level A, some of them might go away. But so if you're doing level AA, do both. But a lot of times it's good just to start with A and cover those and just kind of clean out the big weeds first and then deal with stuff. But you can set the standards and then so anyway, there's a lot of little things you can turn off and on and then get it down to a view that's more helpful. So that one is on the list and that's really helpful for looking at the thing. Did the sheet go around? Don't let me lose that sheet. That's my Bible. Did somebody take my WCAG? Okay. Okay. So this is a good way to look at it. WCAG. And then I also told you about the tools. So here's another tool by the WC3 that will help you pick tools. So there's filters. So you could go by what guidelines you want. Languages, you could change language. Type of tool. So if you only want WCAG, you only want, see, lots of languages. So I don't even know where English is in this. So you got your language, and then technology. This gets a little deep for me. But if you want to be specific, license. And then, and if you find a tool, you can add it. So this will narrow it down, but unfortunately it's in alphabetical order, which isn't always as helpful. But when you hear about a tool, or if I'm talking about a tool, so these are all, not all, there might, because new ones come out all the time, but this is a pretty good collection of where everything is and a way to sort it. So when I talked about, bookmarklets or stuff, they'll tell you. And almost 90% of them start with A for some reason. No, because it's accessibility.
I was wondering if you had any recommendations for tools that would be for like secure sites or protected data, to where you don't want it to be sending that data out to a public site to be checking it.
You're not. A lot of these, unless it says it's a cloud-based, or what you are checking is what your browser is seeing. So if you're within the firewall and you can see it on your browser, it can check it. It's not putting information anywhere. And when you get to that level of when you do buy a tool that does that, and that is something that probably should be bought at more the system-wide, things, then those securities are put in place. Those securities are put in place. When you get to that level, those are big paid tools. But all these free things that we're going over you're just looking at what's in your browser. It's taking what's being fed, the code that's being fed into your browser, and examining that. So it's not loading it anywhere. This tool, AXE, this extension, when I talked about, this is one of the best ones for no false positives. So if you're doing this a lot, and this is a browser extension, and your workflow, you're working in a browser a lot, this is a really good one to use. But you have to, it's just a browser extension, which isn't that hard, but you have to put it in your browser and stuff. So that's the tool for finding the tools. And that's on the list, and that's really helpful. Okay. And so, when you're tired, so I can look at this and view report, and then it's going to say, okay. So this is let's talk about the language element. The language is not declared on this website. And so it's not pointing to any particular thing because it's in the metadata. So it's telling me I don't have the language. It's telling me which rule I'm breaking, and it's giving me some advice for how to, if I clicked on this, it would expand out more information on how to think about fixing it. And then most of these tools will show you the actual code, so you can recognize like what code it's in, if that's helpful. So in this case, the reason why I don't have a language tag, and you would think somebody in accessibility would just go fix their language tag, is my website is based on a group of websites that are all housed and managed together, and you can't change one website without changing all the websites. And it's based on Drupal, and Drupal is international, so it doesn't automatically set the language. And so this is part of some core code that I don't have access to. I can't change. So what I have to do is I have to tell the people who run the core code, hey, I'm getting this accessibility error. I'm sure everyone else is. Please fix it. And because this is on Drupal 7, not 8, in 8 it's fixed, sometimes it's one of those things, we're not going to fix it in the technology we're in, we're going to catch it on the next round. So if you run into an accessibility problem that's not in your lane, report it, because that's how it gets changed. And then you're just going to have to make a note in your things like, I'm going to fail this criteria until this gets fixed, and I have note that you have reported it and stuff. So this is, most of the tools work like this. They're going to have this basic information, which is pulling from the WC3. So it's basically the same information. It's just how accurate the like which interface you like. Now see, this one is pointing to something. So it's going to tell me where on the website. So they basically, a lot of them just do that. So that's a bookmarklet. And when you want to get rid of a bookmarklet, you just refresh the page and it's gone. So I have loaded in my browser a bunch of accessibility tools. So I showed you bookmarklet. I have a couple other bookmarklets, just like quickly if I'm doing something and I want to check, and of course they're not going to work. Grayscale. I can quickly check grayscale. That's just a little bookmarklet. So if I'm doing something and I want to quickly, this will give you a good idea of color contrast. But there's a lot of little tools that'll just do one little thing for you. And then to get rid of bookmarklet, you just refresh it, and it comes right back. So there's little different booklet. This one I like. This one will tell you the hierarchy of your headings. It marks out all your headings. So there's a lot of little things you can do. Let's open the door. Is it break time?
Yeah.
Oh, so sorry. If you come back, we'll cover more tools.